So this is the new Apple Beats Pill. It just came out and is viral all over the internet, but I've realized that it's a Bluetooth speaker that's got me trapped in Apple's ecosystem, away from buying any other Bluetooth speaker on the market. Now that's a hard pill to swallow. So after using this Beats Pill for quite some time now, I have realized that there are three things that make it a speaker that I just need to keep. And that is of course the design, the sound quality, and the way it integrates with my iPhone particularly, but also Android devices. Now the design is very nice because it's very reminiscent of the original Beats Pill. As soon as I got this thing and opened it, took it out of the box, I felt that it was very nicely refined compared to the original Beats Pill because it has a few extra features, but more importantly, it's a massive upgrade from the second generation pill, which had a very weird shape and seemed to be very heavy. This pill comes in three really nice colors: statement red, champagne gold, and a dark matte black. I obviously have I have the statement red, but I should have got the champagne gold. But the statement red is really nice because it's bright, so if you misplace it you can find it anywhere, and it matches this setup behind me. But I would have really liked Apple to have been a bit more creative and taken the design of a medical pill with the half white and half red look and just copied and pasted that on this thing right here. Because imagine getting a Beats Pill that's half and half, like a half yellow and a half black with that Game of Death Bruce Lee look. That would have looked so sick, and it's just disappointing to see that Apple didn't do that. But what they did do well is of course the way it's engineered. Half the speaker has this nice silicone material, so when you grip it in your hand it just doesn't slip out, as well as sitting on a surface with those rubber grips at the bottom, which also allow for some really nice airflow so that your sound does not get disrupted. But there's also a really nice lanyard on the side which you can use to hang on a backpack or anywhere you like. Now I personally wouldn't do this because the speaker is quite heavy, but as a whole it's just a really nice refined design that's super light and very easy to carry around anywhere. Now other than the aesthetic changes on the Beats Pill, there's a few controls that have been added just to make controlling your music a little bit easier. There are 4 buttons: the power button, which also pairs as a pairing button, the center button which used to control your music, and the volume up and down. Now the first massive issue with the speaker, which everyone is talking about online, is the fact that the power button is also a pairing button, which means that you have to hold down this Beats speaker to pair it to your iPhone or Android, which by the way, when you do pair to your iPhone, is exactly like a pair of AirPods, which is really nice. But pairing it for long enough does its thing, but when you hold the button for a long time you'd expect it to turn off. However, it just goes back into pairing mode on and on again. I read online that you basically have to hold the power button for just under 3 seconds for the speaker to actually turn off. Who in their right mind is going to think of that? Like, that's the dumbest thing I've seen. I actually think that the Beats logo in the middle should have been the pairing button. That would have been a really nice use of space. But that aside, the center button is where this thing shines. Just like AirPods, when you basically click it 2 times, it fast forwards a track and 3 times goes back. Clicking it once obviously plays and pause. And when you get a phone call, you have to click it once to answer and click it twice to end the call, while also being able to click it to mute and unmute. So it basically feels exactly like my AirPods Pro, which is really nice. I don't have to think about how to control this thing. I can just remember how my other Apple products work and do the same with this. There's also the volume up and down, which basically does what it does. And as a whole, I think the controls are pretty nice. But this pairing issue really needs to be sorted out. Though as a whole, it does function fairly nicely. The only other physical change you're going to notice on the speaker is the introduction of a USB Type-C port on the back. Now, these ports are necessary on every gadget, every product, and just means that you can use your new iPhone 15 charging cable to charge this Beats Pill. But more importantly, when you charge the Beats Pill up to full 100% charging, you get 24 hours of listening time, which is great. Basically, you can spend a whole day out and just keep listening to music on this thing. On top of that, on just a 10-minute charge, you get 2 hours of listening time. So even when you're in a hurry and you forgot to charge it, you still get to use it properly. Now, the USB Type-C port also has a secondary function, and that is to actually give you lossless audio. So you could basically connect your iPhone to the speaker via the cable without any Bluetooth connection, but get even more crisp audio. And guess what? There is even a power bank mode, which means when you connect your iPhone or your Android device to the speaker, you can click, I think, the middle button 3 times, or the power button, and it turns the speaker into a power bank, which then charges your iPhone, which is so sick. Now, it is also IP67 water resistant, which means you can use it in the rain, you can use it by a swimming pool. And the weird thing is the USB Type-C port doesn't have a cover, so I guess they've engineered it in a way where the water just trickles down without going into the port itself. But as a whole, I think these extra features just make it way more nicer, and the design itself isn't only just really good looking, but it's very functional as a whole. The actual sound quality of this speaker is where it particularly shines, because the sound is really clean. In fact, when I took it out of the box and started playing music, I was like, damn, this tiny little speaker packs a punch. It's really loud, it has a lot of bass. And someone actually asked me when I was playing music, they're like, is that a professional speaker? And I was like, no, it's just a Beats Pill. But a lot of people do get surprised when they hear audio coming out of it. However, I've noticed, and this is particularly annoying, when you surpass 80% of volume, it starts to just get a little bit muffly and you start to lose a bit of bass, and the mids just don't sound as clean anymore. For me, that's a big issue, because the whole point of buying these speakers is that you replace your iPhone speaker so that you can have something as loud as possible to play music or a movie, whatever it is. And for the sound quality to reduce as you increase the volume is kind of dumb. So Apple, a massive company engineering such a small product like this, should be able to create something that doesn't have that issue, which needs to be sorted out. On top of that, answering phone calls is a joke. The audio on this thing when you're answering phone calls, I don't know where it's coming from, the 1950s, because when I was listening to someone talking to me on the phone, I couldn't even hear them properly. I had to just turn it off and just put my phone to my ear. In fact, the speaker mode on my phone was louder than the speaker. So I don't know if this is some kind of software bug, but that is something that needs to be sorted. Though most people aren't going to be talking on the phone, they're using it to listen to music. And this is where it shines if you buy 2 of these things. If you buy 2 Beats Pills, you can basically put it into amplified mode or stereo mode. Amplified mode is where the 2 speakers get paired together and just give you double the audio, so it's even louder. But stereo mode is where this thing is so sick, especially for someone with a desk setup like this who wants to buy 2 of these to pair with their monitor, because stereo mode treats it as surround sound essentially, where the audio from 2 Beats Pills gets split to the left and the right, giving you a full surround sound experience, which is really nice for those with a TV setup and they're on a budget for some speakers. So in that department, it's really nice. Now, controlling the actual sound is interesting, because if you have an iPhone, this is again where the ecosystem and the software really comes into play, because you can control it with the settings app on your iPhone in Bluetooth settings, just like your AirPods, where you can change audio settings. Now, there are some issues where you can't change the bass and there's no equalizer settings, which I really hate, but as a whole, you can access it from the iPhone settings app versus the Beats Companion app for those Android users. Now, one thing interesting in that Beats Companion app is, although you're not using the traditional software like you are on your iPhone, on the third-party app that you have to download, switching between amplified and stereo mode is a lot easier, which on the iPhone you have to do by clicking buttons on the actual speaker rather than your phone. So some may argue that on an Android device this actually works better, but it is nice to just go into the settings app on your iPhone and change things here and there. Though, like I said, the sound quality is really nice, and for such a small speaker and for 149 bucks, you are getting what you'd expect. So with all of these things taken into consideration, the new design, the sound quality, and the controls you get to manage the sound, especially with multiple speakers, is this worth the $149, £149 price tag? Well, let me tell you something. While you are getting some value for that price, just like a lot of the other speakers out there, it is a dangerous trap, because once you pay that $149, that money is not going to anyone but Apple, and for the next 10-20 years you're never giving that money to anyone but Apple. Because as someone with an iPhone, a Mac, AirPods, an iPad, I found that as soon as I took this out of the box, it was like my iPhone and this speaker were made to be together. It literally connected like a pair of AirPods. It got added to my Apple ID, it got added to my Find My app, which means I can track it anywhere in the world, just like all my other Apple products. And then I thought to myself, why would I buy any other speaker? Why would I buy a JBL? Why would I buy a Sony? Why would I buy a Bose? There's no need to. I don't get to track it like I do on my iPhone very easily, and I can track my Mac and everything at the same time. I can't use the settings app on my iPhone. I have to download a third-party app for those speakers, and I just don't get that nice form of integration and pairing like my AirPods pair to my Apple devices. And instantaneously, not only did this pair to my iPhone, but because it's in the Apple ID, it paired to my Mac as well without me having to reset it. So that got me thinking, if you're an Android user, yes, you can track this speaker through the Beats app, and you get features like that where you're not locked in the walled garden, so it might be worth it for you with a Samsung, a Huawei, any other Android device. But for you iPhone users, you need to be careful, because this thing is a bit of a trap. Once you buy one Beats pill, you're most likely not going to buy any speaker but the next Beats pill, and your money is only going to one place, and that's Apple. You tell me, is that a good trap? Or is that just a trap of an endless cycle of Apple products? I don't know. But all you have to do to stay tuned for future uploads is to subscribe, turn on the notifications, and stay tuned because the Galaxy Z Fold 6 video is coming. I'll see you guys there.